regarding stormwater.
Good job.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're ready for number 11, planning and sustainability.
I'm ready for a 5-minute break.
Afternoon.
I don't know if I can sit here till 6 o'clock without moving.
Well,
Okay, well,
mine is much simpler than
That's
the two before me.
I don't really want to miss this, but
Yes.
so,
I mean, basically what we're looking at
Stand
is
up.
just asking
sit
for a couple of personnel changes. You may see in the very beginning of the budget notes that what has happened in the last year is that we have increased the number of development reviews we've been doing by about 2 times. We anticipate that that will not only continue at that rate, but will grow over the next year, given what we're seeing in the trend. So we are asking for a change from a current planning assistant part-time to a full-time planning assistant, which would be a half a position there. We're asking to upgrade the sustainability grants coordinator to a principal planner. And we are asking to upgrade the permit technician or other staff to the technical support analyst. And all of those would be in support of the growth both in our reviews and in the number of studies that we're going to be taking on over the next year or so.
On the sustainability grant coordinator position, let me just clarify, that function would still work in terms
Yes.
of working with departments on grants, supporting the Sustainability Commission and those initiatives that work throughout various departments, but also participate in some planning,
Right.
specific
Right.
planning work, and I believe that individual's got their AICP
That
now,
individual does
so-
have his AICP and has been doing some reviews,
right.
looking at reviews for planning. And we anticipate some of our other staff participating in some sustainability and some green practices. So it will be, but the grants will be his, will continue to be something that we look for and search for and pursue, not only in our department, but throughout the city.
Based on, as your budget goals reflected a cost-benefit analysis to the city.
yes.
Yes.
Thank you for
so
saying
let me
that.
ask about the grant thing. So I take it the person that's in that right now is going to be put into this other position?
That person would be upgraded to the other position, but he would continue to do grants.
Right, so is his position funded then still by the grants?
No.
Or is it going to be funded by the city now?
It would be funded by the city. It's been funded by the city for the last year. That grant
It always
ran
has
out.
been, but we track the grants that it's generated
Right.
to offset
That's not true.
There
It's
were,
No,
always
but
been that
I
way.
know what you mean,
No,
but
it-
I
it's
think
not
that's the way it's
No,
been.
no, it has always been a general fund position. We track the grants that it generates throughout the organization
Yeah.
to show that it's essentially paying for itself and then some in terms of what it generates.
Well,
So
his job originally was put on, and he was paid according to the grant he brought in the very beginning when he was first hired.
well, we used a grant to support the position initially.
Exactly.
But the concept was always
Yeah.
that it would be funded, and that's the way we've
Self-generated.
tracked it, is that the grants generated more
Right.
than offset the cost of the position.
Right, right.
So, yeah, we
Well,
did have an
in
opportunity.
other
Actually,
words,
we
you
added
pay
the
for
position
your
before we
position
had
through
the
the
grant,
grants.
and then the grant came
I
through
was-
that helped
yeah.
support it the first
I used to have
couple
positions
years.
like that.
Yeah.
So if I didn't bring in grants, I didn't get paid,
Yeah.
yes.
so it is,
and
So that goes away now, and then we're actually just paying.
we're
directly.
paying for that position.
Directly
And that
anyway,
position
this
will do a
last
number
year.
of things, both the sustainability and the grants and some additional planning. And we do have some changes in operation. Some of those changes will come back to us. The special census, we're looking at spending $80,000. Now, I know that seems like sticker shock, but it really is not. Because if we have, and we believe we do, substantial growth, we will get $101 per person out of that growth. So we would spend 80 to probably get $300,000-$400,000 per year out of the growth that we've had since the 2010 census.
Yeah, we expect it to be somewhere in that neighborhood of 3,000 to 4,000 of additional population beyond that 2010 census number. So it will more than pay for itself in 1 year turnaround.
Right. And it's very labor intensive, and that is why the money is in there, that we indicate that. Computer hardware, we are looking at 5 computers, which are replacement computers, but we're also looking at 9 27-inch monitors. As our planning staff looks at more plans online, we want to be able to zero in on the detail, take a look at the detail. It's really hard to do that on a 13-inch screen.
And whenever it was mentioned that maybe the planning commissioners could get all of their things online, I said, wait, we do not have those big monitors, but nor would we want them at our house, I don't think. But it's really not the same thing. I do agree that you absolutely would need it. You cannot look at plans.
No,
any other
it's,
way.
I mean, it's getting more difficult, and as we look at more plans and the current planners spend more hours staring at little screens, I think that's going to be something that they're going to need to have. We're looking at machinery and equipment of $12,687, and that would create 2 smart boards, one for the CDCR and one for our planning conference room. Everybody uses those, and we certainly would keep those smart boards to ourselves. We would share them. Consultant services, we're looking at $10,000, and that is for the community planning assistance team that will be coming in to look at our floodplain and our floodplain activities. They pay for their time, we pay for their expenses to come here, to be put up, to feed them, and all of those type of things. Legal notices have just gone through the roof, you know, in terms of how much they cost and how many of them we are anticipating doing as we move forward with other plans. And then we have a line item for public relations and education. We're anticipating doing a day trip or maybe a couple day trip with not only staff, but with some members of the Plan Commission in BOMA to see some innovative things in, you know, communities or states near us.
Been a long time since we've done that.
It has been a long time. And, you know, the next is just information on the things that we accomplished in 2013-14. And then our goals for 2013-14, or 2012-13, and then our goals for 2013-14, which will include revising the RX zoning district. And that's going to be a pretty big undertaking. We're looking again at updating the West Harpeth character area. We'll look at doing a green audit to make sure that we're not putting up barriers to green development. We've had a lot of requests to look at infill development and how infill development works. Our current zoning ordinance really is a greenfield ordinance. Want to finish our historic resources inventory, complete the special census, and then we will be looking at enhancing our development report. You'll see things on the 26th that add additional information to the development report, and we will continue to add to that development report. And then we will probably, during the year, have annexations that we need to oversee and look at. Those will all be pretty time-intensive, staff-intensive activities. Does anyone have any questions? I only have one division.
One busy one.
Thank you.
Do you want to take just a minute, a break, just for a minute, or?
I'm trying to push through, but I'll do whatever.
Yep,
5 minutes.
I'm going to take a minute.
Okay. I'm just take. That's okay. Sorry. I think we're going to take just a 2 or 3 minute break.
Are we on the tape?
3 minutes.
We're okay on tape, aren't we, guys? In terms of
Well,
your,
listen, stand up,
did
stand
you
up
do a
anytime
3 hour?
you need to. That's what mine.
Exactly. I understand.
We're back?
Okay, are we ready now?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
so let's go on to our next item, which is building and neighborhood services. I don't,
Linda's not back. is it?
That's all right, she's good.
it's okay.
Okay. For Building and Neighborhood Services, I'll start on page 2 of the narrative with the department goals. Building and Neighborhood Services is continuing to improve utilization of newly deployed software packages. the Hanson 8 M4 system, and IDT, which is our electronic plan review web portal. Using these two technologies and electronic payment methods, BNS will offer online applications for many processes. BNS is reviewing workflows and identifying efficiencies that can be gained in conjunction with deploying these software packages. With substantial completion of the city wireless network, BNS will utilize electronic devices in the field to gather information about projects and to transmit inspection results to permit holders in real time. The focus this year will be on team building and customer service. ICMA has a local government customer service workshop that can be taught here for up to 50 personnel. Other training opportunities that focus on giving personnel additional tools for working with the public will be sought out. In order to reduce bottlenecks, the zoning section level of service, in the zoning section level of service, additional personnel are proposed to relieve the zoning administrator of enforcement and construction inspection duties and allow more focus on plan review and customer service issues. Building and neighborhood service is defining customer service as creating simple, clear expectations and delivering on those expectations every single time. We do that by making a statement of our commitment to level of service, where we state our deadlines, we state our expected level of service, and then on a first in, first out basis, as quickly as possible, we deliver on these stated level of service timelines. The personnel changes that I am recommending, we are going to deliver on our statement of commitment to level of service. We're going to keep those expectations clear, and we're going to deliver. What the personnel changes that I am proposing are going to increase responsiveness in those areas, and will address the as quickly as possible part of that commitment to our level of service. Going to personnel, we are proposing to fund the residential plans examiner position. Originally conceived, it would have been more of a construction codes position that dealt with energy efficiency. The position we're talking about would review residential plans for zoning, simple zoning items, setbacks, design features, elevations, how it fits within the building envelope, as well as historic and flood issues. In the past, we've seen that paying special attention to these areas has a great benefit for our customers. You know, oftentimes these things are more lengthy because they're more specialized. This position is currently being done by the building official. You know, we formalized this process in order to gain some clear expectations on when our deadlines would be this past year. In formalizing that process, the building official took that on. We put the reviews in our Hanson system and tracked them to ensure that we were delivering every single time on every single residential plan that came in our office. This was one of our customer service areas that were marked for improvement. The building official only has so much capacity, though. He's got many jobs to do, many things to oversee. He's got one of the biggest sections of the 3 sections that Building and Neighborhood Services has. So we want to move that responsibility from him, now that he's paved the way on it, into that residential plans examiner position in the zoning section. In anticipation, we don't quite know what the workloads are going to be. So far this year, our permanent inspections are up 16% for the first 2 months of the year over the similar period last year. So what we are proposing is we don't need the personnel now. We don't know, our peak months are during the summer months. So when we hit those summer months, we want to have the capability to track what we're online for, and then to activate some personnel in the November timeframe. We would get a look at what the activity looks like in July, and then go through the hiring process, and then more towards November, December, be able to hire a building inspector and a permit tech should there be a demonstrated need, instead of using the budget amendment process. We're also asking to reclassify a permit tech position to a technical support analyst. This is what you've seen in the engineering department, planning department, and the streets department also has a person who functions in that capacity. This position will still provide direct support to the permit techs. But deploying software, getting all these applications available online as an option, key piece to our customer service improvements. Also proposing an additional zoning enforcement officer. One of the bottlenecks that we've identified for the zoning section. Zoning is the first line for small business. When they come in, we always refer them to zoning because they have to determine where they're locating inside a building, inside an area works. And they need answers. They're hunting down, the realtor, and their contracts need to get done. So they come to us. We need to be able to give them a quick, accurate answer with the increase in activity, plan review activity, enforcement activity, everything. The zoning administrator, those times of responsiveness is down. We want to remove that bottleneck. We want to get those plan reviews out. We want to get the business certifications done. Adding a zoning enforcement officer would help alleviate that issue, as well as help us tackle some longstanding enforcement issues. We're also proposing reclassification of the zoning administrator job to include supervisory duties. That zoning administrator, instead of doing the enforcement, would then supervise the zoning enforcement officers. In operations, we have proposed increases in the following areas. Franklin has historically been 3 years ahead in the code cycle from surrounding communities, from the state, from Brentwood, from the county. Many of those other, the state requires us to stay within a certain time period of the most current codes. We're a cycle off from almost everybody else. What we propose, the roadblock to this is it's kind of expensive to purchase the code books for all the personnel in our department. We propose to go ahead and bite the bullet and get on the same cycle as the rest of the surrounding communities so that the businesses and developers and builders can all have one set of regulations that they have to meet, and we're consistent across the board. This policy is also something that we're pursuing in many other small ways, finding out what other communities are doing, what their processes look like, and then mirroring them where it's possible so that people get the same experience when they go from community to community in Middle Tennessee. We propose replacement of an aging copier. We've had several malfunctions from the old machinery, and it's time to replace the equipment. We propose the local government customer service workshop that I mentioned earlier. One of the major items is the housing study that Vernon spoke to earlier. Our operations costs have also increased due to the cellular bills. Currently, we purchased wireless cards to go along with the laptops for our inspectors in the fields that supplements our city Wi-Fi. There are some areas, out where construction is going on where the Wi-Fi coverage is kind of spotty, but we still need to have access to that information while our inspectors are out there, especially since when we deploy the Henson 8 in July, we'll have the opportunity when the inspectors pass or fail the inspection with corrections, shoot an email or text directly to the contractors. And this Wi-Fi helps prevent that. That's one of the most time-intensive thing our staff faces as far as phone calls and feedback from the contractors. What are my inspection results? I'm in Smyrna with this other project I have. Do I really have to drive back and read my green or red sticker? Can you just tell me what's going on? Magnified by 150, 200 inspections, it becomes quite a chore if everybody chooses to ask that question. So we'd like to, this is one of the things that helps us give that option. that pretty much sums it up. I've gone through it rather quickly. I'm ready
have
for your
indeed.
questions.
Well, I got a question on,
Sure.
in the cell bill. Eric, how do we do that with everybody in the city with our, do we like have a major plan that we get a discount on for all the cell phones and that kind of thing? And then the other question I have is wireless cards. Is your department, is his department the only department that really uses the wireless cards? How many of our departments do that?
Yeah, well, first of all, we do an overall wireless contract, so we purchase in bulk, if you will, in terms of those services. Our IT department manages that, but right now, that contractor, that provider is Verizon. But so we all use that, and there are different products that fit the needs of different employees, but it's all done through one large
Carrier.
purchasing arrangement, one carrier arrangement there. So we think we maximize our buying power that way. In terms of the air cards, they're used by various departments, especially inspectors in the field. As we get our network built out, there'll be less of a need for that. We've got a couple areas that we're still working to connect. And so ultimately, we hope to use fewer of those and be more efficient with how we connect into that system. But right now, we're still needing to use it for areas that don't have that service.
The MIT steering committee identified the equipment we would need and deployed it with several departments that had field inspectors, same notebooks, same air cards, same use all at the same time. We did that this past year.
Good. Madam Chair, just make one comment. I have seen, well, at least I'm not hearing as many complaints from the general public, John Q. public citizen that is doing their little basic home thing. I'm not talking about major contractors. And I don't know whether that's because we haven't had a lot of things to do, or is it that you have done something different in your department, your customer service, from the customer service standpoint? People are feeling better when they
These
come
things
and
saying
talk.
days to
and they-
resolution
I mean,
are
that's
pretty
for now.
impressive.
We don't know what next week may be.
Certainly, I think some of that is seasonal.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, the high grass season's coming on.
You know you're in a thankless job, right?
That's right.
We know how you feel.
I frequently get
But I think it's important to give you.
attaboys
Yeah,
for the building.
Great.
It is something we continue to work on. Chris has put, as a new director, has put a focus on that responsiveness. He's pushing more decision-making down into the organization, which makes us be more responsive. We have a lot of certified people that, I gotta watch how I say that, have certifications in what they do, that are very good and knowledgeable, and Chris is trying to capture that so that they feel they have the authority to help people and make decisions and move it along, so it doesn't have to work back through the chain of command every time. Now, if there's issues that are unique and need help, we encourage them to get that help, but we're trying to push that down further. You saw Chris is putting an emphasis on additional customer service training. We know we need to keep doing that
Yeah.
and think about how we do that. And I think this is great training that's focused on local government needs, and that's good. But we're also going to look at what other people in the private sector do around that too. I think there are lessons to be learned there too. So we're going to keep thinking creatively about how to capture that.
Any other comments? Thank you very much.
Good.
The CDBG fund,
Well, we are an entitlement community, which means there's a calculation that goes out in terms of the dollars we receive from the federal government for the Community Development Block Grant Program. It is a program designed to impact low and moderate income citizens directly. We've contracted for specific services within that, especially the residential rehab program. I may not be saying the term right, that's what I think of it as.
Right.
And this is one that's directly impacted by what's going on in Washington around sequester and some of those things. So we get what they give us, and we make it go as far as we can. We try to be very efficient in the administration of the dollars. Vernon?
Well, thank you for
else?
explaining that.
I think
Actually,
that
based
sounds
on
good.
what we have read so far, it's likely that we'll receive a reduction of about 10, 11%, which is reflected in the figures you have in front of you. As far as our programming, we plan on adjusting accordingly, but this coming year, we do want to make the most effective use of the limited funds, and I should rather say declining funds that have been coming our way, because some of the programs are intensive to administer, even though we receive helps from outside agencies. But again, the issue here is that we will likely see a reduction of about 10 or 11% if things keep going the same way at the federal government.
And we just do whatever we have the money to do.
Go as far as it can go.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item 14 is discussions of requests for appropriations from nonprofits and government agencies.
As you know, we fund a number of outside agencies each year in the budget with various public purposes. This really is a little ahead of our original schedule, so you may not have all of the agencies that we
I
typically
noticed that there were
fund.
some of them.
And we need to take responsibility for that, in that we had an original deadline for them to get those to us by April 1. So, but we did want to give you what we had, to give you sort of a preview and get any feedback you have. Our approach to this point in budget, and obviously we haven't put a budget in front of you, but has been to sort of continue our mode of kind of holding that funding where it is, hold the status quo. You know, while, I guess the way we look at it, while our budget might be increasing a little bit, we still aren't back to where we were 3 or 4 years ago. We did take some reductions here, but we did not take them as greatly as we did in our own departments. When you look at it as a percentage, it's kind of still equalizing. So we felt appropriate to say these would generally stay at the same level, with notable exception of the animal control, which is contractual. Russ, are there any others that need to?
The transit, the first line item.
The
Oh, I was going to
transit,
say that one
oh, the regional
is a
transit.
biggie. It's a big change.
Yeah, that is one that has a modification in that the, Mayor, help me with the name of the bus line. Is it the?
91A.
The 91X,
that's right.
the service that goes into Metro, into downtown Nashville and Music City and Vanderbilt. Music City Center and Vanderbilt.
We have two different ones.
Yeah.
One route stops at Music City Center, and the other one, which is a little later, stops at Vanderbilt and then goes to Music City.
So this had been funded through some federal grant dollars that have phased out. And so the funding has shifted to a partnership between Davidson County, Williamson County, City of Franklin, and City of Brentwood. And this is a regional transit connection. And this helps us connect for our citizens to get to jobs and get to those opportunities, and has added these stops over time because it's been successful, and there's need from those employers to connect. And so that is where that's headed, and that's specifically tied to those funding, that change in funding structure.
Does that include that bus, that transit bus that goes from Spring Hill or down
Yeah. Oh,
on
yeah.
up?
Yeah.
This is,
It
Stops-
is.
That stops here?
Not from our money, but, well,
And what's
it's
this?
part of the money that pays for the Spring Hill bus also.
That's right.
Because I,
That's probably Rogers, really more in Rogers.
that's more in the
Anderson.
county
okay,
funding.
so
Let me tell you
I
what
want
it
to
is.
know
It's
what,
Williamson County,
30
Franklin, Brentwood,
In
Metro.
Davidson County, yeah.
Is that,
Mhm.
is those the four?
Those are the
I
funders
just don't see
that,
my little thing on here, but I read it before.
yeah, that's
we've
And this
gone,
number's actually 29,000.
29,000, and then you've got the base funding that was already in there previously, I think. It's a combination of
we're
those dollars.
looking at,
There it is.
we're looking at 5,622 for 2013, and then we're looking at 33,000 to jump way up there.
Yeah.
Are we helping to fund that?
Oh, yeah, it's
But
in
we're
the
Yes,
not
middle.
that's-
It's in the
funding-
middle.
But
I
we're not
forgot. That's where it
funding
is. Thank you.
transportation in Williamson County, or in Franklin, are we?
This
that
is,
money?
this is the regional transit that
Right.
connects to, goes from Williamson County into Davidson County, back and forth during the day for that that commuter transit need for those jobs. This is a piece that was covered by grants, has been going for, I think now 3 years, is that right? And this is now going off of the grant and needs local funding. And this is the approach to fund that.
Yeah. So that's what happens. We start with these grants, and then when they go away, we have to fund it. And we're jumping up from 5,622 to 33,682. But how much of that is actually serving our citizens out of that 33,000?
All of it.
That's
No, but I know
I
what you
mean,
mean.
it's all-
How many people
many
are coming
citizens?
directly from,
How many are Franklin riders?
that's a good question.
We can try to get that breakout.
But
Fun and
When you
it's
look at population,
a lot of money.
I will say though, it's
Population's one thing, but.
No,
if
listen to
nobody's
this, though.
Using it.
the amount that they pay
Yeah.
compared to what
What
they
we pay
get.
is-
No, it's much less than that $5 and whatever something cents that we pay
The transit.
for
Yeah,
transit.
to
That's
local
right.
transit, yeah.
Because they are paying,
Yeah.
they're paying a good bit, they're paying $107,000, I think, out of,
from the rider,
from the rider.
I think we're
Share box.
supplementing, I think we're supplementing it, we had some discussion the other day, it's about $1,
Less than
less than $1.
Well, we're paying 33,000, so I'd like to know where all that's going.
It's kind of in the middle of these things right here. I thought it was at the first, I couldn't find it either. I'll tell you where it is. It's
It's
right
right there.
past the library. You see that?
Yeah, it's relax and ride budget.
It's
This one?
about 2/3 of the way. Yes, that's it.
I might add that those numbers were provided to us sometime last year as an estimate of what it would go up to this year. We got an update on that yesterday or the day
Oh,
before.
okay, and it is.
And the new number is 29,000 and change. I'll have to look up the exact number.
Okay.
so it's a little bit less.
So it's a
than the
little bit
number.
less because the riders were picking up a little more. It's a little bit less than we anticipate, that the RTA anticipated.
How did they decide our share of this?
Well, from what I could tell, the local share is equally divided between the parties that are involved. And again, as Eric said, that's Williamson County, Davidson County, Brentwood, Franklin.
Yeah.
The counties,
And you might mention also that Rogers, Anderson and the county have been picking up Spring Hill. The county's also picking up Spring Hill and Fairview, if I'm not mistaken.
so Spring Hill and Fairview are not
But
paying a
wait,
share.
they only stops certain, where's
They're
it?
not paying
The places
anything.
it stops?
It doesn't stop in Fairview.
No, it doesn't.
Well,
It just
he mentioned
stops.
2 other places, so at least Spring Hill.
Thank.
There is a Spring Hill
Yeah.
Express.
There's Spring
The
Hill,
county's paying
two places
that
in,
much. The city's
they're
paying
like
the same?
Kroger and Cool
I see
Springs.
why we would be
in-
paying the same.
I think it's just Kroger now.
Oh, really? Okay,
Cool Springs got eliminated.
okay.
What, got eliminated? They
Yeah,
just
whenever they
stopped
built
being-
on the property at Lowe's,
Yeah.
and the ridership the ridership was happy because the bus got to Nashville faster with just one stop.
Okay,
Where do
okay,
they stop now?
Kroger on 96.
yeah. And that'd be easy on, easy off.
Well, you can see, you can go by there in the mornings and see the number of people that are riding, and it's a pretty significant number of cars there.
That's good.
There are folks getting on.
Is
we
that
just
worth
don't-
$33,000?
Yes?
Good.
I don't know. No. I wouldn't understand why the county and the city would pay the same amount, though. I mean, the county is huge.
No, but wait, it just goes up 65 though. See, it's
See,
not,
it does.
see, it's not like, what we were saying, it's not like Fairview or
Right.
any of the
Spring
places like
Hill.
that.
College Grove or.
Yeah, they would have to come to Franklin to get on it, which they might want to do, I don't know.
Yeah.
This, I might remind you also that we're trying to lay the groundwork for some future transit options. And this is one of the
Yeah.
baby steps that's occurring. And if we get to 2035 and we haven't done anything, you won't be able to get out of Franklin or Nashville. That's true. So this is a baby step to go forward. We know that transit doesn't pay for itself. We know that highways don't pay for themselves. Neither one of them are investments as far as return on your dollar. So I think this is an important step that we need to continue with. I'm not happy that it's $29,000, but I think that for looking toward the future and continuing to have that key for economic development, and also the fact that we're the only rapid bus transit that has the potential to be full going both ways. None of the other express buses have that opportunity because they don't have the workers coming into their county. So we've got almost an equal number leaving Williamston to go to Davidson as Davidson coming into Williamston. So they're conscious of that. I'm sure they're trying to work out some opportunity, which again then creates, I think that creates more economy in the operation if they can figure
Do
that out.
we have right now one bus that goes up and one bus that comes back?
The bus comes down empty in the morning
Right.
and goes back. And
So
then-
they're really not bringing anybody down?
Not yet.
Okay.
They're working on it.
Okay.
They're aware
That's what I
that these
wondered.
are new
That's coming.
statistics, this is new information that they're obtaining.
Good, okay, great.
But that would probably mean
That
two
was
buses
helpful.
because this is coming, at work time, I should say,
Well,
general
thanks.
work time.
That's helpful information.
And this
Good.
is a very new program, and until this develops more and can handle more ridership, you're gonna have to subsidize something at this level. It's
You
just,
always have to
that
subsidize.
you always have to.
You
And
always
compared,
have
though,
to.
compared to the
It never
transit,
pays for itself.
compared to the Franklin Transit Authority, this
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
not
piece of
half,
cake.
doesn't- that's right, it's not half what we're paying
Well, that was a good
per
explanation.
dollar that they are paying, I'll put it that. it's the-
Well, I can't disagree with you. This is much less subsidy than the Franklin Transit, but again, I think on the Franklin Transit, we're fortunate we have a transportation system in Franklin that's going to be able to accommodate some of the changes that are occurring, particularly in places like Cool Springs and Carruthers and McEwen. You've got to lay that groundwork. It's
If you
painful.
Make it happen, that would be good.
Okay. What about some other things on this? I noticed that we just got something from Grace Works
And Mid-Cumberland.
and Mid-Cumberland both. Oh, okay. So
Those
I was
were
really
right
looking at the numbers for Mid-Cumberland, and I was putting them in for Grace Works. So is this the total of Mid-Cumberland? Okay, I see. Now that I'm looking at this.
Thanks for
Medical services, Meals on, okay. Everything looks to see approximately the same thing, except they've got that long-term care ombudsman. Is that new from Mid-Cumberland? The long-term care ombudsman, that looks like it's new. The other things look like they're the same. I see the homemaker services and the Meals on Wheels look like they're the same. Oh, they have the ombudsman
There is an
in here.
ombudsman at
I
2,000.
know we've
is
had
that-
it in the past.
Yeah.
Okay, but it was a little bit less money.
So
I
the
think the
reason on
rest
the
of-
other sheet, they just didn't have it in because
They
they
didn't
didn't
have it.
think
We
it was due
received it
until April
late
the 1st.
Monday.
Okay,
So
okay.
And as we said, it's not their fault we told them April 1, but we wanted to give you what we had and get a sense of what you would like to see as we move forward. Our staff recommendation at this point is to continue to fund as is, but, we want to get a sense of if you want some other approach taken on that.
Well, can I ask you why Bridges is not under contracted services? Because
Part of it is.
we should have a contracted service with them. Without them, we would have to foot a bill to put the mothers and children and whoever we got into a hotel or someplace safe, and we don't have that ability to do that. So every time, 100% of the time, they go when they're needed with the police and take the children and the women, mostly. I don't know if they've ever had men, but sometimes they have that once in a while that happens. But they take them and they have to house them and feed them and care for them, to me, that's a contractual service because it's a reciprocal service that we have with them, and I think they belong in that category.
Well, in the end, we hope to have a contract with each and every one of those associations. They're categorized where they are because they're a 501c3. So
That's
I
why.
mean, we grouped
Okay,
them
have to stay
into
down there.
Okay.
government agencies,
Yeah,
501c3s, and then the contracted is kind of everything else.
The other thing would be
But
if you
they're
went down that
sister
road,
cities, though.
you'd need to start charging per use. I mean, you'd go
I see
to a
what you
different
mean.
structure. You'd say every time you take somebody, it's so much per night, per person, per what, you'd have some basis
think
for
you just have
charge.
a-
Whereas what we've done to this point is had a general funding contribution to their organization, and they provide that service. That's the public
year long,
benefit.
yeah.
But to this point, we haven't tied it to per service charge. If you went down that road, you'd probably need to develop some kind of formula around that so that each time they did something, we paid them. To this point,
I
there's
don't
been a
think we have to
comfort
do
level
that.
with a funding, a kind of a gross funding amount, and that's
Well,
worked.
I don't know if that's necessary. I would say I'd take a look at the records from the previous years and see how much they service the city, okay? And then you take a look at that and you come to some kind of number, which might be the same, might be a little less, it might be more. And then decide on a general basis every year how much they serve the city. And it generally comes out about, some years they have more or less. But, and then decide on that and then have a contract for a set amount. Because I wouldn't get into all that, that's way too much work. I wouldn't want our staff to do that.
Might be something to look at,
Yeah.
I
I just think they belong, even if they are, I mean, what's Sister City program? What's Franklin Marl? They're 501(c), right? Or 501, yeah, aren't they?
And that's why they're in that.
That's why they're here.
category.
Yeah, but they're under contracted services.
Yep, they are.
They're under contracted services.
Oh,
So
yeah,
anyway,
yes.
I just think bridges needs to be moved into that, or any other, Russ, is there any
We're
other?
really doing agreement, we're trying to do agreements with all of these folks.
Are there-
So if that,
well,
I mean,
I think
I
we
don't know,
should-
I don't know that that's much of a difference, the way it works now.
I don't think we should do agreements with all one of these folks.
I think we should do agreements with everybody we give public funds to
Exactly.
establish the
Well-
public purpose for why we do it. We don't just give them money for existing, we say, here's why it connects to a public purpose, and this is what the city's funding.
I think we should, if we have a reciprocal service, okay? If they are giving a service to the city, like our police department, then I think they belong under a contracted service. If they're not directly giving a service to the city, I'm not talking about the citizens at large, then, animal control. I mean, that's obviously, well, that's under government,
Well, let's,
so.
maybe
think there's a
that's something
difference
that we
there.
want to look at.
We can explore
Yeah,
that.
I
can
think there's a
explore it.
difference. Russ, we've talked about that before, And there are certain organizations that do provide a service that we have to have, that we couldn't do without. Where would our police do with that?
Some of it has to do with record keeping. They're
Oh, yes.
burdened already with the things
Yeah.
that they do. If we ask them for, incident reports on every event that they have, that may be
Need to
more
do
than
that.
they're capable of doing. But we'll explore it.
Yeah, we wouldn't need to do that. They can take a look, they've got records, and they can take a look at service and how many calls. They know how many calls they had last year. Believe you me, they know. And they know how many times they went out with the police. So they can take a look at that, and then they can tell you how long they house the people there. They have all those records. They can pull that up. So those kinds of things. I don't want to make it cumbersome. I'm not interested in making it cumbersome. That's not what I'm asking.
See, I think Alderman Martin went to speak.
As I look through here, I don't see many that don't have a direct impact on the city. These are our people that are in trouble and need help. And if I cannot imagine you mentioned the word cumbersome. I think it would be extremely cumbersome for them and for us to try to figure out, how many days this mother stayed with 4 children or 3 children. I just can't imagine. If it helps them for us to give them, $15,000 and let them deal with it. I can't imagine that it wouldn't be more than that if we tried to pay on an individual basis. I just think that what they're doing is, they're taking care of people we ought to be taking into our homes. You know, and they know how to do it. If it weren't for them, you and I, Bev, would be having these precious people come into our homes at night. I have had them come into my home, and I'll tell you right now, I give them $15,000 to take them because I've had them come in, and I have wept while I have prepared a meal for them, and it is heart-rending, and I think it's embarrassing for us to just give them $15,000. I think it ought to be a lot more than that, and I wish we could do that. But when I look here at this list, there are not many things on here that I think don't actually take care of our people. And I thank God that we can do this little bit for them. And I would hate to see it change, unless to give them more.
That may be a good way to wrap it up. Do we have some other comments we
I
want to
probably
make?
should have declared this on the front end since I'm in the middle of the discussion.
You're
I
on
serve,
board.
I serve as a volunteer on the J.O. Clay Board. I get no pay for that or any benefits, but I still feel like I can be objective with this discussion.
Okay.
Well said.
Now, the second thing, I would like for us to take a look at what our revenue is maybe December, January next year, and to see what kind of growth we've had, and then consider if we'll let these agencies know that we would consider increasing maybe back to what preliminary donations were. I mean, funding.
To back
excuse me.
to 07, 08?
Well,
Yeah.
wait, that was, we cut them 10% because we were down 10% then. We're not back to, we're
Well,
not back to
that's
it
what I'm
yet.
saying. Let's look.
But
where we
I
are.
appreciate that. I'm just saying, I know the numbers and we're not back to where we were.
Because there are some
then.
agencies on here
I
that
know.
our funding is matching funding for other
Yeah.
funding. So not only do they take a cut here, they take the cut that this is matching also. So they're having to deal with a double of what we decreased their operations on. That's all.
Okay, anything else on that? Well, speaking of pay, number 15 is discussion of salary for elected officials.
And I'll lead off if you would like.
I guess this is just for,
This is for your consideration. We had a question about this, and we did a little research. And we discovered that the pay for the Board of Mayor and Aldermen had not been addressed in 25 years.
Wow, that's how long 80-something is?
So, I think the action had taken place in 1988 for enactment in 1989. We looked at what the charter allows for, which essentially says the board can establish the pay level. Now, but you need to do it no closer than 3 months out from the election. So that's really the guidelines that you have. If you're interested in looking at it, we'd be willing to work with you on that if that's something we want to incorporate in the budget. The charter doesn't specify this, I think, directly, but typically what happens is you do it with the election cycle. So you're not necessarily giving yourself a raise, you'd be doing it for the next time the
cycle.
election happens. So you would probably approve it, but implement it with the next election of ward alderman and then at-large alderman and the mayor. I would suggest that's probably the cleanest way to do it and sort of phase it in if you wanted to change something. We did a survey of mainly other Tennessee cities, but also did incorporate some other cities that we sometimes compare ourselves to, just to give you some context. It's obviously all over the
All over
map.
the map,
Really it
absolutely.
is. But a lot of the larger cities or cities that have a lot going on, like Franklin does,
tend to be higher than you are. I think that's a fair observation. And just, we'll take your direction on how you want to discuss it. It obviously impacts the full board, so if you want to think about it, discuss it, have us bring it to a work session, or we're open to how you want to handle it, and thought this would be at least a good place to start the discussion.
Comment?
You know, I never expected, you know, when you said, hey, here's what you're gonna get for, that's what you're gonna live. You don't do it for the money.
Exactly.
No, who said, no one ever said that.
It'd be real cheap.
But, and
Never.
also, you know, we've already talked about one time, other than Brandy here, the rest of us are getting a little bit older. And, we need to have
I know where
younger.
you're going with that.
That was a compliment.
You're not getting older.
Thank you.
Hey, that's pretty good.
We need to be able to encourage younger citizens to participate on the board. But I can see, you know, all the nights that we're up here, and if you're young with young children,
right.
You've got to.
and your wife does something else at night, you're at least gonna have to hire
husband.
babysitters for every night.
Absolutely.
that- You know, and so that's the main reason that I would like for us to see considering an increase.
Yeah.
Because it needs to attract younger people. It shouldn't be people that are just retired or own their own business that can afford to take the time off that we do.
Independently wealthy is the other one I use.
Yes.
Or independently wealthy,
They were
that's
really
right.
into those, aren't
That's
they?
right, yeah.
But
Great line.
that's why I would consider this.
Yeah.
It's not really for us.
That's right.
And,
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
and, I mean, and we're speaking for us, but I will say for poor Ken,
I know.
I mean,
Every
it's
time I come
public-
here, he's there.
Drain them dry.
public record, but it's $800 a month that the poor man gets paid, and
Doesn't even take that home.
you probably are at a deficit for the amount of hours
Oh,
that you put in.
absolutely.
And, you know,
Ridiculous.
what we do is taxing, it's time consuming. I think we could make this a full-time job. I know I could if I checked my city email every day. Sorry. But I mean, I think even for the mayor, I think Eric does a great job of what he does, and I don't at all want that to change. But I mean, just the public relations that the mayor has to do for the city of Franklin. We're on the map. We're not little small town, you know, I don't even know what to compare us to anymore. I mean, we're recognized in so many communities, music industry, business,
Publishing.
so many things, and I think it's, I don't know, I think it's almost comical that there's some things we hold fast to, and there's other things that we want to rush and compete and compare, and, you know, even for the mayor and the people that you have to interface with, Ken, and the committees and the regional things, $800 to me, while you're not doing it for the money, and I know that, I think there's got to be a different level here. So I appreciate you speaking for us, but I think he needs somebody to speak for
Well, he
that
would be.
position too. So
Absolutely.
for what it's worth.
One of the other things I wondered about on this list, you know, there are cities that, if you're a commissioner, you may be in charge of the solid waste department, or, you know, I guess none of these are that type.
I don't think any of these cities are that sort of old
Where you
commission
really-
form where they're,
You really have additional.
They're
there might be
heads.
some, but I
Yeah.
don't think any of the cities of
They don't work for them.
considerable
No, they don't
size
work-
They
do
don't
that
work for
anymore.
They
them.
don't work for the city.
But if they are, they're getting up for a real deal.
Yeah.
No, they'd have to
Some of
pay
the
them
others
separately,
are,
but I don't think they are.
Collierville, $500
So
annually.
I would,
I saw that one.
I would like to move this on to
Yeah.
Maybe to
the
the work
full
session.
board
The work
to get
session.
other
Okay.
input.
Yeah, I think also it might be good to, you know, you're absolutely right, Mike. This, I talked about this in 2006, and I said, it's not about us. I said, it's an opportunity for other ones to be in this office, and a lot younger people as well. And I know a fella over here somewhere east side, west side of town, and he said, gee, I'd love to, but my wife's a nurse and she works nights. He said, and I've got little kids and everything, and he said, it'd be a lot, you know. He said, but, you know, there are opportunities like that for people to do that. And then it also gives us an opportunity to be more active with our community and maybe get out there more and do different things. which would be good. But I noticed some of these, they provide computers and cell phones and travel. Of course, we reimburse for travel when we go to classes or anything of that nature. But we do. When you go to classes, Mike. Yeah. But so it might be good to do a flat fee of saying $75 a month to cover phone, because nobody wants to turn in their cell phones and have the city provide cell phones. But, a stipend, I see some of these have a stipend towards cell phone and internet, okay? That's probably a good idea. And so maybe something like
Pay my internet bill.
$50 or $75 per month or something like that to the elected officials. And then, of course, the mayor should probably go up more of that. And then taking and increasing the pay along with that. I think that would be fair and reasonable. I don't know about you all, but I have constituents all the time saying, you get paid what?
Yeah.
And they go, you guys got to give yourselves a raise. And someone said something the other day about, hey, it's election season. If you run again, I said, hey, don't bother me. People can elect me or not elect me, but the thing is, I don't do this job to get paid for it. I don't do this job, or I would not vote for or against raising that, even with consideration that election's coming up, because it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do for the people that come after us as well. So I think we ought to take a seriously look at
25 years
that.
is a long time. When you
Oh,
said
it sure
80-something,
is.
I'm like, oh.
Well, now, let me
Whoa.
see. Had they been getting,
We have a tendency to do those things.
see, so it hasn't necessarily been that long ago.
Right.
No, and that was the 80s.
It was
Like
80s.
raising
So that's
I
what
know.
they did it to
Used to be
400
$100.
from 100?
But
But
yeah.
y'all were only meeting once a month. weren't you?
Yeah, they only met.
No,
We met till midnight.
that's right, that's right.
Once a month, but you went all night long.
2005.
Margaret, did you
We-
get breaks?
We may need to watch our time because I think
You're
our
right. We're about to
tape
run
is
out.
running out.
Very good.
So,
Yes.
do we want to say, we're talking about Justinia song,
Yeah, let's
and
bring it
this
on.
is for
Work session in
information for
April,
us.
If you'd like.
Yeah, sure.
Just for some more
We need
input
to
from the
move
rest
it
of the
on.
board.
Sure.
I think I did share it with the whole board just to give some, just to let them see it coming,
It's been
but
the same.
we'll put it on for April 12th or April 9th.
Ken.
Okay, then the other is just for information, so
Same thing you want.
are we,
The only thing I'd mention to you to
Oh,
go
the
back and
reports?
look at in the information, and I think Mike has the numbers for you, is that IRS notice on the sequestration. I think we included something in there
Oh, I
that
did not see
formalized it. I believe it's 8.7% that we will be cut on the Build America bonds rebate.
yeah, I heard that. Yep.
Most everything that we have is
Cut?
not tied to the federal government, and so we don't have a direct impact. We'll probably have some indirect impacts through whatever the feds do with the state, but we don't know exactly what that is. But we will probably lose on an annual basis about $80,000 of the rebate on the Build America bonds
Right.
if that 8.7% reduction stays in place. Now, the spring rebate that we would get we pay interest twice a year on those bonds. The spring payment, we were able to get the rebate before March the 1st. So we did that. And so it won't affect this budget year. But in the next budget year, unless something changes, it's possible that we would have that. We would still be paying less, in fact,
You're
far
still paying,
less
yeah.
than if we had issued the same bonds as tax exempt bonds. So it's still a heck of a deal, but it's real money that we would be losing. Just wanted to make you
Yeah,
aware.
real money, not monopoly.
Okay.
Move to adjourn.
Oh, second.
All in favor, say aye.
Yeah, real
Thank
money.
y'all.